All right, welcome, class. We're going to go over another drug here, and today's drug is promethazine, or as it's more commonly called, phenergan. I will tell you a lot of controversy on this one. We use Zofran nowadays as an antiemetic drug, but again, promethazine or phenergan is actually really good at controlled nausea and vomiting, but it's got some other qualities to it besides not letting the patient throw up. It's a really good antihistamine. You can use it similarly to Benadryl. Again, it's an anticholinergic properties. It's got, again, the antipsychotic properties as well. You'll give this to kind of make the patient a little bit more relaxed, and it works really good for that. Now, again, it competes for histamine and H1 receptor sites, and it produces a little bit of sedation, anti-motion properties as well at low doses, relatively free of extrapyramidal effects. So what I mean by EPS effects, when you give this drug, sometimes the person can kind of go schizoid or just absolutely animated, or they might get this type of thing, can't move my neck. So again, any of those extrapyramidal syndrome effects. Usually less than 1 minute for the onset, and it usually lasts for 4 to 6 hours. Again, really good drug. It's got a nice duration to it. And it really does prevent the motion sickness, nausea, vomiting with that. And again, they'll use it for OB patients in labor as well as a kind of a sedative type effect for that. Now, the side effects of this, though, again, is they can have the head turns. They can have again, all of the EPS syndromes. And the good news is there's an easy way to treat that. Benadryl is a good way to treat that. Again, it can make you sleepy. Matter of fact, when I used to take phenergan for diabetic-related problems, I will tell you it made me extremely sleepy. Again, it can drop blood pressure. It can actually raise the blood pressure a little bit. It can cause some arrhythmias. It can mess up the white blood cell counts as well. But again, it can cause a little bit of nausea, but the biggest thing that they're going to get is the extrapyramidal symptoms, especially if you give it high dose. We're talking somewhere around the 50 milligram range. Some of the smaller people, if you give them even 25, they can do it. Most in EMS, we usually gave 12.5 to 25 milligrams. And in kids, it can cause hallucinations, and it actually can cause sudden death, which is why they've kind of gone away from it. But again, it's usually because they pushed way too much, way too fast. That's the big reason for why that would happen. So again, so absolutely don't give it to a kid that's less than 2 years of age. If they're comatose, don't give it to them. If we know that they've got a bladder neck obstruction, don't give it to them. Again, in patients with Rye syndrome, we definitely don't want to do it. If we have any alcohol, barbiturates, narcotics, we probably want to stay away from it. Again, it's metabolized in the liver, so again, you can get some, if it's not being processed in the liver, again, you can get a buildup effect of it. We really don't want to do that. And again, it can also cause, if they've got a pyloroduodenal obstruction, in other words, right at where the stomach and those connective areas at between the stomach and the duodenum, if they've got an obstruction there, we kind of want to stay away from it. Again, if they're taking some sort of sedative, a hypnotic depressant, this is going to accentuate the effects. Same thing if they're using the MAOIs, or they're using a tricyclic antidepressant. As a matter of fact, the monooxidase inhibitors, if they're using those, you can definitely have some extrapyramidal syndromes happen, so you got to be careful with it. It can cause some bronchospasms, so we got to be careful with our asthmatic patients. And don't use in children. Don't use in children. I say it again, don't use in children. And you want to avoid any type of interarterial injection. Your arteries does not like this stuff. So again, IM is the preferred route for administration. We give it IV, but if you're going to give it IV, I make darn sure that it's a very patent line. So again, and again, we usually, if you have some sort of EPS reaction with it, again, 12.5 to 25 milligrams of Benadryl usually is your cure. It's prepared in 25 milligrams and 2 mLs, and we usually give 12.5 I usually mix this stuff with, I pull out 1 cc, which will give me 12.5, into a 9 cc flush, kind of dilute it out, and give it slow. Again, can't stress that enough. Give it slow. And again, your pediatric patients, if they're under the age of 2, it's absolutely no-go. 0.5 to 1 milligram per kilogram. If you're going to give it IV, I would just stay away from this with kids. So again, IV push, you can give it IO. Again, IM, we usually give it into a really big muscle and to let it absorb nice and slow. And again, your pregnancy, category C, it will cross the placental barrier. Well, that's it for the promethazine, and we'll see you next time.